You lose your power once you focus on what someone else is doing. There's a subtle theft that happens in your life every single day. It's so quiet, so gradual, that you might not even notice it's happening. But make no mistake, it's draining you, weakening you, pulling you further and further away from the person you're meant to become. What is this thief? It's your own attention, placed on someone else's journey. You lose your power the moment you shift your focus from your own path to someone else's progress. The second you start measuring your worth against their achievements, comparing your chapter 1 to their chapter 20, obsessing over what they're doing, what they have, where they're going, that's the moment you hand over the keys to your own potential. And here's the truth that might sting a little. They're not taking your power. You're giving it away. Today, we're going to talk about why this happens, what it costs you, and most importantly, how to reclaim the power that's always been yours. Because your energy, your focus, your divine assignment, these are far too precious to waste on anyone else's story. Section 1. The comparison trap. Let's start with something we all do, whether we admit it or not. We compare. You scroll through social media and see someone's highlight reel. The new house, the promotion, the relationship that looks perfect from the outside, the body they've sculpted, the business they've built. And something shifts inside you. Maybe it's subtle, just a small twinge of inadequacy. Or maybe it hits you like a wave. Why don't I have that? What am I doing wrong? Why does it seem so easy for them? In that moment, you've just redirected all your creative energy away from your own life and onto theirs. But here's what you're not seeing. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You're comparing your struggle, which you know intimately, with their success, which you only see from a distance. You don't see their 3 a.m. anxiety, their failed attempts, their moments of doubt, their sacrifices. You only see the polished final product. And even if you did see all of that, even if you knew their full story, it still wouldn't matter. Because their journey is not your journey. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their assignment is not your assignment. When God created you, He didn't make a copy. He didn't look at someone else and say, make another one like that. No, He created an original. A one-of-a-kind masterpiece with a specific purpose, a unique set of gifts, and a personal path that only you can walk. But when you focus on what someone else is doing, you're essentially telling God, I don't trust that what you gave me is enough. I think you made a mistake with my story. I'd rather have their assignment than mine. Can you see how that drains your power? You're fighting against your own design. You're resisting your own purpose. You're spending energy trying to be someone you were never meant to be. Here's another reason we focus on others. It gives us the illusion of control. When your own life feels uncertain, when your dreams feel distant, when you don't know what the next step is, it's easier to focus on someone else's journey. At least their path is visible. You can see what they're doing, track their progress, maybe even predict where they're going. Your own path? That requires faith. It requires you to trust in what you cannot see. It requires you to keep moving forward even when you don't know how things will work out. And that's uncomfortable. That's scary. So you watch them instead. You study their moves. You analyze their strategy. You tell yourself you're learning or getting inspired, but really, you're avoiding the one thing that would actually move your life forward, taking action on your own path. Because here's the thing, watching someone else's success doesn't make you successful. Knowing their strategy doesn't execute your vision. Following their journey doesn't move you 1 inch closer to your own destination. It's like standing at the base of your own mountain, but instead of climbing it, you pull out binoculars and watch someone climb theirs. You know every move they make. You see exactly how they did it. You might even feel like you climbed it yourself because you watched so closely. But when you put down those binoculars, you're still standing at the bottom of your own mountain. You haven't moved. You haven't grown. You haven't stepped into your own power. All that time, all that energy, all that mental space, wasted on a journey that was never yours to take. Section 3. The energy drain. Let's talk about what this actually costs you. Because focusing on what others are doing isn't just a harmless habit. It's an energy drain that affects every area of your life. Think about your energy as a currency. You only have so much of it each day. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take, it all costs energy. When you spend your energy focusing on someone else, you're making a transaction. You're saying, this person's journey is more important than my own right now. Their progress matters more than mine. Their story deserves my attention more than my own story does. And what do you get in return for that transaction? Usually nothing. Or worse, you get comparison, inadequacy, jealousy, distraction, and delay. You don't get closer to your goals by watching someone else reach theirs. You don't become more confident by measuring yourself against someone else's highlight reel. You don't unlock your potential by obsessing over someone else's success. But you do lose something. You lose time, you lose focus, you lose momentum, you lose the creative energy that could have been directed toward building your own life. I want you to really think about this. How much time have you spent in the last week thinking about what someone else is doing? Scrolling through their updates, analyzing their choices, maybe even feeling some type of way about their progress. Now imagine if you had taken all that time, all that mental energy, all that emotional bandwidth, and invested it into your own growth, your own dreams, your own next step. Where would you be? What would you have created? What clarity might you have gained? What action might you have taken? That's your power. That's what you're giving away every time you choose to focus on someone else's journey instead of your own. The Bible has something profound to say about this. In John 21, after Jesus has been resurrected, he's having a conversation with Peter. Jesus tells Peter about the kind of death he'll face, basically revealing Peter's future to him. And what does Peter do? He looks over at John, another disciple, and asks Jesus, "What about him? What's going to happen to him?" Listen to what Jesus says. "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You must follow me." Read that again. What is that to you? In other words, stay in your lane. John's assignment is not your concern. His journey is not your business. You have one job: follow me. This is such a powerful reminder. Even Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, fell into the trap of looking at someone else's path. And Jesus had to redirect him. Focus on your own assignment. What I'm doing with someone else is between me and them. God has a specific plan for your life, a unique calling, a personal journey, and it's tailor-made for you, your gifts, your strengths, your season, your preparation. But when you focus on what God is doing in someone else's life, you lose sight of what He's doing in yours. You miss the small miracles. You overlook the daily provisions. You fail to recognize your own growth because you're too busy measuring it against someone else's. Proverbs 4:25 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you." Straight ahead. Not to the left to see what they're doing, not to the right to compare yourself. Straight ahead, on your own path, on your own purpose, on your own next step. When you do this, when you truly focus on your own lane, something powerful happens. You stop leaking energy, you stop feeling inadequate, you stop being distracted, and you start moving with intention, with clarity, with power. Section 5. The myth of overnight success. One of the reasons we lose power by focusing on others is because we believe a lie, the myth of overnight success. You see someone's breakthrough and assume it came easily. You see their victory and forget about their valley. You see where they are now and have no idea where they started. There's a woman who just launched a 6-figure business. You see her now, the clients, the income, the freedom. What you don't see are the 3 years she spent working 2 jobs to save money, the courses she took at midnight after her kids went to bed, the 100 times she almost gave up, the failures that taught her what worked, the rejection that made her resilient. You see the harvest, but you didn't see the planting, the watering, the waiting, the weeding. And because you only see the harvest, you think something's wrong with your own life. Why am I still in the planting phase? Why haven't I broken through yet? What's taking so long? But what if your timeline is exactly what it needs to be? What if the waiting is preparing you? What if the slow season is building something in you that the breakthrough will require? When you focus on someone else's harvest, you dishonor your own planting season. You despise the very process that's making you ready for what you're asking for. There's something you need to understand. Everyone you admire was once where you are. Everyone you look up to had a season of obscurity, of struggle, of doubt. They just didn't quit. They didn't get distracted by comparing themselves to others. They stayed focused on their own assignment, even when it looked like nothing was happening. The moment you stop watching other people's timelines and start trusting your own, you reclaim your power. You give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. You release the pressure of trying to keep up with someone who's not even in your race. Section 6. Jealousy, the poison that steals your power. Let's be honest about something uncomfortable. Sometimes when we focus on what others are doing, it's not just observation, it's jealousy. And jealousy is one of the most poisonous emotions you can harbor because it doesn't just affect how you feel about them. It affects how you feel about yourself, about God, about your own life. Jealousy says, they don't deserve what they have. It says, that should have been mine. It says, God blessed them, but forgot about me. Can you feel how much power you lose when you think like that? You're not just distracted, you're bitter. You're not just comparing, you're resenting. And resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. They're not affected by your jealousy. They're probably not even thinking about you. They're out there living their life, walking in their purpose, completely unaware that you're over here draining your own energy by focusing on what they have. Meanwhile, your jealousy is blocking your own blessings. It's preventing you from seeing the opportunities right in front of you. It's keeping you stuck in a victim mentality instead of a victor mindset. Proverbs 14:30 says, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." Envy doesn't just steal your power, it destroys you from the inside out. It rots your bones. It eats away at your peace, your joy, your faith, your focus. But here's the good news. You can choose peace. You can choose to celebrate others without diminishing yourself. You can choose to see their success as proof that God is still blessing people, which means He can bless you too. When you shift from jealousy to genuine celebration, something miraculous happens. You open yourself up to receive your own blessings. You align yourself with an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. You step into your power instead of giving it away. Section 7. The power of minding your own business. There's an underrated spiritual discipline that we need to talk about, minding your own business. In 1 Thessalonians 4:11, Paul writes, "Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your hands. Mind your own business, focus on your own work, stay in your own lane." This isn't about being isolated or uncaring. It's about recognizing that your primary responsibility is your own life, your own growth, your own obedience to what God has called you to do. Think about how much mental real estate you give to other people's choices, what they're posting, what they're doing, where they're going, who they're with, what they said, what they didn't say. And then think about how little time you spend actually working on your own dreams, your own goals, your own growth. When you mind your own business, you reclaim all that wasted energy. You redirect it toward productive action. You stop being a spectator in your own life and become the main character again. Minding your own business doesn't mean you don't care about people. It doesn't mean you can't be happy for others or learn from them. It means you don't make their journey your obsession. You don't let their choices dictate your emotions. You don't allow their progress to determine your worth. You understand that you have your own race to run, your own assignment to complete, your own purpose to fulfill. And that requires all of you, all your focus, all your energy, all your power. Section 8. Reclaiming your power. So, how do you reclaim your power? How do you stop the energy drain and start focusing on what actually matters, your own journey? First, you have to get radically honest with yourself about where you're leaking energy. Who are you watching? Who are you comparing yourself to? Whose life are you more invested in than your own? Write it down, name it, bring it into the light. Then you have to make a decision. Is this serving me? Is watching this person's journey making me better, or is it making me bitter? Is it inspiring me to take action, or is it paralyzing me with comparison? If it's not serving you, unfollow, unfriend. Create distance, not out of hate, but out of self-preservation. You're not being mean, you're being wise, you're protecting your energy, you're guarding your focus. Second, redirect that energy toward your own life. What's one thing you could do today to move closer to your goals? What's one action you've been avoiding? What's one step you know you need to take? Stop thinking about it. Stop planning it. Stop researching how someone else did it. Just do it. Your power isn't in perfect preparation. It's in imperfect action. It's in showing up for your own life even when you don't have it all figured out. Third, practice gratitude for your own journey. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, celebrate what you do have. Instead of obsessing over where you're not, appreciate where you are. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It reminds you that your life is already full of blessings. You've just been too busy looking at someone else's life to notice. When you're grateful for your own story, you stop needing to watch someone else's. Fourth, reconnect with your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's the deeper purpose behind your goals? What impact do you want to make? Who do you want to become? When you're clear on your why, other people's journeys become irrelevant. You're not competing with them because you're running a completely different race. You're not comparing yourself because you're building something unique to you. Your why gives you tunnel vision in the best way possible. It keeps you focused on what matters, on what you're called to do, on the impact you're here to make. Section 9. The freedom of running your own race. There's a freedom that comes when you finally let go of everyone else's timeline and embrace your own. You stop rushing, you stop forcing, you stop feeling like you're behind. Because there is no behind. There's only your path, your pace, your process. You start celebrating small wins because they're your wins. You start appreciating the journey because it's your journey. You start trusting the timing because it's your timing. And here's what's beautiful. When you stop watching everyone else, you start noticing things about your own life that you've been missing. The growth you've actually made, the lessons you've learned, the strength you've built, the ways God has been faithful even when you didn't realize it. You see your life with fresh eyes, not through the lens of comparison, but through the lens of gratitude, of wonder, of possibility. You realize you don't need to be like anyone else. You just need to be the fullest version of yourself. And that's where your real power lives. Not in mimicking someone else's success, but in uncovering your own unique gifts and using them with boldness, with confidence, with purpose. Section 10. Trusting God's plan for your life. Ultimately, focusing on your own journey instead of someone else's is an act of faith. It's trusting that God knows what He's doing in your life, even when it doesn't look like what He's doing in someone else's. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." The plans I have for you, not for them, for you. God isn't looking at someone else's blueprint when He's building your life. He's not comparing you to anyone else. He's not wishing you were more like them. He created you on purpose, for a purpose. And that purpose is so specific to you that no one else can fulfill it the way you can. But you'll never step into that purpose if you're too busy trying to walk someone else's path. Trusting God's plan for your life means believing that where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. It means accepting that your timeline is perfect, even if it doesn't match someone else's. It means having faith that what God has for you is for you, and no one can take it from you. When you really believe that, when that truth settles deep in your spirit, you stop competing, you stop comparing, you stop watching, because you know that your blessings are custom designed for you, and their blessings are custom designed for them. There's no shortage, there's no competition. There's only God's infinite ability to create unique paths for each of His children. Section 11. Practical steps to stay focused. Let me give you some practical ways to stay focused on your own lane. 1. Limit your social media consumption. Set boundaries around when and how long you scroll. Be intentional about who you follow. If someone's content consistently makes you feel inadequate, it's okay to unfollow, even if they're not doing anything wrong. Protect your peace. 2. Create a daily practice of focusing on your own goals. Every morning, before you check anyone else's updates, spend time with your own vision. Journal about your dreams. Review your goals. Take one action toward your purpose. 3. When you catch yourself comparing, interrupt the thought. Literally say out loud, "That's their journey, not mine. I'm staying in my lane." Then, redirect your attention to something within your control. 4. Celebrate others genuinely, then move on. You can be happy for someone's success without dwelling on it, without analyzing it, without making it about you. That's amazing for them. Now, back to my own work. 5. Regularly audit where your time and energy are going. At the end of each week, ask yourself, How much time did I spend focused on my own growth versus watching others? Am I directing my power toward my own life or giving it away? Here's what I want you to understand as we close. You were not created to be an audience member in your own life. You were created to be the leading actor, the director, the author of your own story. But you can't write your story if you're too busy reading someone else's. You can't step into your purpose if you're too distracted by someone else's path. You can't unlock your power if you're too focused on someone else's progress. Your life is happening right now. Your opportunities are right in front of you. Your next level is waiting for the version of you that's fully present, fully focused, fully committed to your own journey. And that version of you can't emerge until you stop giving your power away. So today, make a decision. Choose to focus on your own lane. Choose to celebrate your own growth. Choose to trust your own timeline. Choose to invest your energy into your own dreams. Stop watching. Start building. Stop comparing. Start creating. Stop following someone else's map. Start walking your own path. Because the moment you do, the moment you truly reclaim your focus and direct it toward your own life, that's the moment everything changes. That's the moment you step back into your power. And trust me, you're going to need all of it for what God is about to do in your life. Stay in your lane, mind your business, run your race. Your purpose is waiting for you to show up, fully present, fully focused, fully you. It's time to stop losing your power to what someone else is doing. It's time to reclaim it. It's time to focus on what matters most. Your own journey, your own growth, your own God-given assignment. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the one and only you. If this message resonated with you today, I want you to do something powerful. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. You know who they are. That friend who's been stuck in comparison. That family member who's been watching everyone else's highlight reel. That person who's forgotten their own value because they've been too focused on someone else's journey. Send this to them. Not to call them out, but to lift them up. Because sometimes we all need the reminder to come back home to ourselves. And here's my challenge for you. For the next 7 days, commit to staying in your own lane. Every time you catch yourself comparing, watching, or obsessing over what someone else is doing, stop. Redirect that energy to your own life. Take one action toward your own goals. Journal about your own progress. Celebrate your own wins. Then come back and tell me what changed. Leave a comment. Send me a message. I want to hear about the power you reclaimed when you decided to focus on your own journey. If you want more content like this, messages that remind you of your worth, your power, and your purpose, make sure you're subscribed and following along. We're building a community of people who are done playing small, done comparing, and ready to step into everything God has called them to be. You're not alone in this journey, but you do have to show up for your own life. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay focused, stay faithful, and stay in your lane. Your power is waiting for you to claim it.